Got it.
Camryn, welcome back.
Hi.
I know that we did a live video last week on your Camryn's Cute Creations Instagram page where we talked about, overcoming fears, limitations, internal, beliefs, and then building confidence to just like get out and do craft fairs, markets, all that you do. And just a very quick backstory for anyone who's just kind of watching this. Camryn and I met in October of 2022, randomly at a craft fair. How do you call it? Craft?
Yeah, like craft show, craft fair. Yeah.
We live in the area, in Spokane area. We have like Green Bluff, so it's like harvest, orchards, all of that. So I was hanging out. I saw her beautiful Camryn's Cute Creations. She was like, you crocheted a couple beautiful booties, little babies. Oh my gosh, I just had to pick it up. Right now I'm not even pregnant, but I had to pick that up.
I remember you getting it. You're like, I don't even know. Like, I don't need this right now, but I need it. So
So yeah, so I noticed her, talent and then her spunk and her creativity. And I was at a time in my life where I'm like, I just want to like meet people who do business. Like, all the vendors that were there, I was talking with them and I understand like it takes time and effort and skill and trial and error to grow and be out there. And so we decided to just like swap numbers and get connected. And I remember, not that this is a huge identity deal, but at the same time, it's a big deal. When I met you, you were under 4,000 followers, and now you're probably at like 94,000 followers. And
yeah,
it's,
something like that.
and to add
Yeah.
to that, what a huge year for the both of us. Like we'll meet up every other week or a couple weeks to just kind of catch up, help each other out. We kind of like have buddied and partnered to support each other. Internal stuff, I'll continue to help you, hence why you're here.
Yeah.
And with a lot of the digital content kind of like output, external stuff, website help, my gosh. So it's been a crazy year because within the not even a year, not only has your business been exploding and mine, we both got married.
I know, right?
That's hilarious. She got married in January of 2023 and I got married in March.
I know, right? I love it. I love that we're at this similar part of our life where we're newlyweds, but we're also growing a business. And yeah,
What is it to be a wife? And what is it like when you're building a business versus
and balancing all of it.
products? Now and so something that we did last week in your live was we kind of one person had asked me about, feeling guilty that they have business and neglecting family. And I mean, totally relatable. We've talked about that, but it kind of comes down to boiling down to identify what phase are you in, whether it's business, whether it's, you have a baby, whether you're moving and packing up. Everyone's going through different seasons. And when we can identify that, we can hopefully put like less pressure or expectation. Like we can still have certain goals, but we can become maybe a little bit more realistic as to the pros and challenges of app. And so we had talked about we are constantly identifying like, where am I still holding myself back? What are my blocks? And sometimes it's not as easy to be like, okay, Elena, it's this and here and there. Sometimes it's just like on the outside life, if my life mirrors where I'm going forward and where I'm limiting or stopping, it's, if you believe the principle, you are just reflecting, what's within you, then we kind of work our way backwards a little. Hey, I'm not seeing this growth, or hey, I'm not seeing, are you not seeing, practically speaking, relationship wise, friends, community, money, business, followers, etc. And then kind of backtrack, well, what's within us that's maybe limiting? And that sometimes is more helpful or easier to have someone guide you through it. I do this stuff all the time, and yet still I'll have times where I'm like, I need an external person to help me.
Yeah.
So even though you are still, in my opinion, quite wildly successful in all the amazing, beautiful things that you're doing, every time I look at your page, I'm like, oh, she's so good.
Thank you. Well, I feel like I have to credit you with a lot of it too. I mean, like you said, when we first met, I was at 4,000, not that followers or everything, but it is that that thing we can look at as it grew a lot. It was right after we started meeting too, which I think was so funny. I got this initial just growth, and it was a lot of these things that were holding me back. And I feel like I've got to the next level and I'm recognizing these other things holding me back. So I'm excited to just kind of work through some of them here today. And yeah.
What is it that, and again, for anyone who does this segment called the healing workshop or healing shop, I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but you guys are able to disclose whatever you want, because I can't ever promise everything is 100% private. However, whatever comes up, like you can feel something, you can even come out with tears. I don't care.
Yeah.
Is you don't have to be like, here's the specific thing I'm thinking,
Okay.
processing. You could
Awesome.
just be, that's your intimate private healing moment. You can guide us, you can talk to us, but there's always going to be like little details. If you want to omit, honor yourself and do that.
Awesome.
So again, you've made wild growth, but we know we're going to continue to go into different seasons, and the higher you go, the more we have to continue to break off. So what is something maybe that you want to work on? Maybe something that you're noticing you're feeling a block, holding back a little.
I feel like I was just thinking about this morning, but I think when we first started meeting, I was like, I'm not deserving of this. I can't have this. And, I can't have this community that I've been wanting. And then you're like, yeah, you can. And we worked through that. And I got to the point where I'm really happy with it. But now I think going forward, I'm telling myself all over again, well, I can have this, but I can't have that, and I think I'm running into that block where we have just things, even in our personal life, where opportunities are coming up and maybe we're going to move and it's going to be like a nicer place. And for some reason, I'm just feeling, I can't have that. I'm like, no, I'm not there yet. I can't have that. And this same thing with even just growing on social media and my business. I'm to the point where I'm really confident with it and I'm loving it. But then as soon as it gets to, oh, but what if instead of 100,000, you got 200,000? I'm like, oh, no, I can't have that, And so I think that's the block I'm hitting right now is the next level. I'm like, oh, no. It just feels like I'm not worthy of it,
I'm just taking a couple notes.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I had one time in my last healing shop, a viewer later on was like, that healing thing that you walked through that girl with, that was so different than what I imagined. And the reality is it's going to look different every time for every person. There's no cookie cutter way. We're just kind of flowing, the spirit, feminine, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so there's no right or wrong way to do it. So let's kind of backtrack. I'm going to ask just a couple questions to get some context, to kind of, again, see what's going on. I remember meeting with you months and months ago, way before you were at where you are now. And that was kind of the same stuff that was coming up, like, me, how is that going to happen? I mean, that'd be so cool, but, and now you've still elevated it, and yet we're still hearing that same voice. What's the difference this round? Because you have made obviously like tangible progress.
I think I don't know what it was I was doing. I think I opened my mind to like, oh, I could do a little more. And then I reached it, but now it's like even more than that. I can't do that. I don't know. There's something I'm to the point where I'm actually making enough where I'm not fearing like financially if I'm going to make it this month. Like I'm like, okay, it's going well. I'm at a point where now more almost feels like that's too much. Like, I don't know. I just am like, oh, no. I don't know. I guess that's just kind of the block I'm running into. And I remember we were talking a lot about this like feminine energy and receiving. And I feel like that's where I'm having that block again, where I'm having a hard time being open to the idea. And I feel like receiving it, I just wouldn't even know what to do with it,
Does it feel like, and I'm guessing I don't want to put words in your like mouth, but does it feel like before it's like, oh, I kind of, need this much amount of time or income or whatever is appropriate. Like, come on now, I'm not that bad compared to everyone else. Justifying kind of like this much is okay. But now maybe that you have this much and this much more seems more like luxury and kind of more play and for fun and extra and pleasure. Like when we are moving sometimes from that survival necessity need, sometimes we can kind of justify it a little bit sometimes. But then when we're moving into like that abundance, sometimes it's like,
Definitely. I definitely feel that. I feel like before it was more like, I have to make this much. If I don't make this much, I'm going to have to quit doing this, you know? And so it was always a constant grind where I felt like I was seriously working 60-hour weeks. Like it was insane, which is part of the entrepreneurial process, you know, and grinding a lot at the beginning. I'm to the point now where I'm taking my weekends off and I feel almost guilty about it. You know, I'm like, I'm still working above and beyond, but it's like, I can't even take those 2 days off. And so that totally, I feel like that totally speaks to me, where now I'm to the point where more feels wrong because I feel like I have enough, you know?
okay, tell me this, if anything, has anything already been kind of insightful or something that you've been made a connection just now that maybe you haven't before that's already kind of
Definitely what you just said, just that whole, the whole, I don't know, it not the abundance, like going on to being like feeling abundant. And I try to think, well, I already feel that way in a lot of ways. So is more gonna, I don't know, change things or, but then obviously I want to make more money in my business and have that financial freedom. And those are things I want, and also grow the account and not even with finance, but just connecting with more people. I want that deep down. I do want that, but it's like, it's hard for me to be like, that's okay for me. I don't know. So,
yeah. So I'm going to just explain a couple things. What happens is wonderful when we can logically start to maybe rationalize and understand, oh, you're right, I'm noticing this abundance thing versus, oh, I see guilt. That's wonderful, but like that in itself doesn't, if it doesn't permeate your emotions and your body, then you're not going to have freedom, because you can know a whole lot of stuff, no, but if it's head up, that's not gonna, impact your life the way if it permeates, again, saturates everything. And that's what I'm going to help you kind of unblock some of that. And it's kind of what you said, and this is something that's very common. We build these like little comfort zones, and then opportunities come up for us to expand. And if it's like, it's uncomfortable, it's weird, it's too much, like whatever stuff we have in our, not just head, but like what's programmed within us, we'll continue to reject to stay in that bubble. And for yourself, you can have all the opportunities, ideas, to access what you need and expand. And if you're like, no, I'm starting to feel guilty, I'm not working enough, we'll continue to pound it and hound it out and stick with these results, and we're going to continue to grind for life.
definitely. I feel like I'm even running into that in personal areas in our life too. Like we're looking to move and it's definitely going to be an upgrade. And I think for me, I'm like, well, I'm not worthy of this. It's gonna, have like the cute white kitchen that I think all my stuff's gonna be so cute in there. It just feels so me. And I've been wanting this for, years. We're working hard to like, and then eventually move out and have a house and all those things, the things that we're like working for. But then when the opportunity comes around and we were touring these apartments and I'm like, this is perfect. This is perfect. And then as soon as we left, I was coming up with all the reasons I didn't deserve it. Oh, I don't need that yet. Oh, it's too much. I don't know. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing this like not only in my business, but I think I am in my comfortable little bubble. And I'm scared to go on to the next level where I feel like it's a space that I am going to grow. And I feel like we have outgrown where we are now and we need to move on, but it's a comfort thing.
Yes. And so that's the other thing. Sometimes we'll interchange words like, oh, this is it feels comfortable, because that's your nervous system will tell you what feels comfortable. This is too much exposure. This is not. However, the crazy thing about that is it's complete like sabotage. And because it's like, well, that's not, I want this, but I keep justifying this, right? There's this like fight. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is, this is what I believe. I have found that oftentimes when abundance and unconditional love and just this like pure amazingness comes our way, that bright white light is what really illuminates our like unworthiness, and this is not for other people, not me, that's when our core wounds really come out. Not when someone gives you a crappy piece of, well, maybe not even crappy, but just say like an average, like kind of space sometimes
Mhm.
we're like, oh, okay, because that's kind of how we feel about ourselves deep inside
Mhm.
subconsciously. But then when you give us something majestic, we're like, oh, I don't know, I can't. That's a lot of
Yeah.
times where that starts to come out. And so we're gonna kind of target that block because you bounce back and forth, and we all do this.
Mhm.
Oh, wouldn't this be no, no,
I
right?
was thinking about like for this whole year, I'm like, okay, these are the things I want in a place. And like we go tour this place, it was everything. I was like, oh, this is everything I want.
Yeah.
And then it was the weirdest thing. I was like thinking about it and like really just having an open mind about it. And then afterwards, it was like, oh no, no, no. And it was because it was almost too perfect that it just felt wrong or I couldn't, no, 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 it's not happening. So
Well, let's
that's
bust that out because
yeah.
it sounds like you are in a place to receive. Like
Mhm.
you even talked about, like, well, financially, maybe we can do this. And I already gained enough traction even with business. And it sounds like, yeah, I can continue to scale up and figure out what feels right. But there is this like immediate, like your mind will go and create. It's kind of like that feminine creativity. Let's do this. I can dream like, and there's some kind of fear, something that like pulls you back,
Mhm.
takes you back.
Mhm.
It reminds me of like, if you've ever like rode a horse, sometimes they're like, let's go. And then we're like, yeah, yeah, no, 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 and
Yeah,
pull it.
yeah, yeah.
Want to, oh, and this keeps happening, right? So I want to like for my viewers, for everyone who rewatches this is the thing. I don't care if someone is coming to me about business, relationship. The reality is whatever this core like center foundational issue, it's gonna come up and manifest itself in different ways.
Mhm.
I'm not going to go into it, but like I'm just going to take a wild guess and say, even if let's say your husband wants to like lavish you with like love and do beautiful things and say,
Mhm.
even then you might be like, huh, I love
I would
this,
be like, "Whoa, what?"
right? Same thing
Yeah.
from an apartment or your home, same thing from business, whatever this core thing that's coming up, that's what we're probably going to go in and try to touch on today. And here's the thing, Camryn, if let's say we, given our time, let's say we go into it and we do something and then we still could go even deeper, you're more than welcome to come back. Anyone watching
Mhm.
this, whoever volunteers to do a healing workshop, they get this,
Mhm.
this experience. And hopefully you get something really out of it. So if you're ready to
Yeah,
breath,
ready.
seeing you, and really it's just you kind of, guiding yourself. You need
Mhm.
to close your eyes, do just whatever you need to do to feel comfortable,
Mhm.
because the more you can settle in and feel safe and still and comfortable, the more, if I could say, you're going to open up and get this access. I feel really good. I feel like because I know you, I feel like you're in such a good spot in life. Like the world is literally at the palm of your hand. It's just you really believing and integrating that. And I honestly don't doubt within the next conversation I'll have with you, you'll tell me about some more breakthroughs.
Mhm.
Before we see that on the outside, and I know you'll go get it, we got to do the inside stuff. So just kind of, I'm going to do a scale with you guys just because I want to make sure everyone's okay. 0 to 10. If 0, you're feeling peace, like no distress. This is like our activation scale. Okay. Zen, calm, tranquil, whatever you want to say. That's 0, right? Still. 10, I can't do it. I'm super dysregulated. I'm all over the place. This is really like not good. Stop it. Stop it. The reason I say that is anytime you still have any kind of activation in your body, in your emotions about a topic, that means we're not done with it. That means there's still kind of a trigger. Okay.
Mhm.
So if we like, let's say, because of the sake of time, we end and you're like, I feel like a 3 at this topic, but like, let's close it up because I need you guys to feel safe after we end. That just says we're not done with that topic. Maybe we'll come back.
Mhm.
But sometimes it'll go up and down. So I'll do a lot of check-ins depending on who I'm working with, because the last thing I want is someone to be like, I'm a 9, and they're just like dysregulated.
Mhm.
And this is how everyone watching, again, this is me explaining a lot first, but the point of this is you have to be able to sit with this stuff and process it out. The way I look at it is energy is emotions, or emotion is energy in motion. And if you keep having all this within you, you can ignore it or suppress it, and it's still going to keep doing it until you hone into it, what's going on, and sort through it and express it, expel it, close it up, and then you maintain your peace. And now you're in control with the decisions you make, not all this distraction, pain, scariness, etc. So take a deep breath and just ground yourself. Maybe you can feel your feet on the ground or just something. I want you to be able to be like, I'm still present. Because sometimes in our imagination, it feels so real. But what's something grounding? Maybe it's you can feel your braids on your chest, or sometimes people will fidget with their jewelry or whatever.
I do that all the time. Yep.
0 to 10, where are you, Camryn?
From 1 to 10, is that what you said?
0, let's just say 0.
0 to 10. I feel like probably 7, maybe. I don't know. Like, just as far as the topics I know we're talking about, maybe 6 or 7.
Okay, let's what I'm gonna do is have you calm down a little bit more, because that's more important to me than jumping into a 7. I want you to feel more regulated and just kind of in control. So if you need to close your eyes, you can do that. You need to hold something, ground, like, this is your time to just take your deep breaths. Just calm your nervous system a little. Right? Like you're doing good. You're just in such an awesome space in life. Like the people you know, like what magnificent breakthroughs you've had this year, like so many celebrations.
Yeah.
You know, like feel the smile on your face, like everything you can do to just channel, like, I'm good, I'm here.
Feeling good.
Yeah, so 0 to 10, if you just scan your body overall, where are you right now?
I don't know, maybe 2.
Okay, so sit in that 2 a little bit. There's no rush, okay?
Okay.
Sit in that, because sometimes people try to rush way too fast. Take a couple more deep breaths until you really feel grounded. And when you're ready, you can just let me know.
I'm good.
Good. It's always the space we want to move through. Wherever you want to go in, you know, in your mind, you're going to open up and believe everything that's coming up is meant to be. We've touched on a couple topics. And here's the thing, we can start with this and still end up here. You've talked about from apartment stuff. You've talked about business. It's the same energy, right? So which topic do you want to jump into first?
Maybe let's do apartment, just because we just looked yesterday. I feel like that's just on top of my mind. Yeah.
Perfect. So I just want you to, again, you said we just looked at it yesterday. It's so fresh. You can tap into the energy of just how exciting that was. But then I want you to kind of like, as you scan in your imagination that situation, I want you to be able to be very present about the emotions and body sensations that are starting to come up with that topic. So take some time to go into that.
I definitely feel like there was a block of, like, even just in my body, just in my chest, where it's like holding on to, even when she's touring it and she's showing us all the amenities, it was like, oh, that's cool, but it never fully, but not for me, you know? So I feel like definitely there's something there.
Okay, so I want you to continue to sit with that, okay? 0 to 10, when you really access that feeling, what does it feel like? What number?
Like I don't know, like a 6, maybe. Yeah.
Anything starts to come up, tears, sniffles, that's part of really accessing that, okay? And there's women, every woman is very supportive of this process. And I want you to sit with that and just notice this girl walking through this apartment and she's like getting so excited, and yet there's still this like heaviness in her chest, like you said, but it's not for me. But it's not.
Mm,
I want you to just sit with that and see, like, just see what comes up.
mm.
Emotions, other sensations, other memories. Just kind of watch that.
I feel like it is, I love my parents, but I feel like we always were so, we had so much, but we always talked about, oh, but those people had these things, there was that other level where we were never there. And not that we were poor. It was this weird in between where I felt like, I don't know. Well, we couldn't ever do that. And I think there was always that block as a kid. And I'm still so close with my family where I feel like even now where I have these months in my business where I'm like, whoa, I'm like doing so well. I'm doing so good. But I look at how, it's too much. Like, I don't need all this. Like, that's how these other people live. I think that's where I'm really hitting on just how I was raised, which again, love my parents, everything. Like, I was raised really well, except that it was almost every time, oh, I wanted more, or I wanted this. Oh, well, you can't have that. We don't have enough money for that, or we don't have this, or. So I feel like even when it comes to the point where I'm making enough to even live somewhere nicer, oh, but that's not how we do it. That's too much. Or I don't know. I don't want to look a certain way to other people too.
Awesome. I'm gonna interject a little bit in this one.
Mhm.
And this is the same, if I could say, energies that have played out in your parents. Love them, but same energy.
Mhm.
That's the thing. We are programmed by those people, aka the energies in them, whether it's lack, abundance, all of the above. So same thing you just described, like even with your parents, it's like they have this, they have opportunities, they even have probably access, if not living in whatever greatness. And yet mentally, right, emotionally, nervous system, it's still okay, but we're not that. Okay, but we don't really have, okay, this constant like, see, no, we're not doing
Mhm.
it. And we've talked a little bit about this before,
Mhm.
and it's the same energies showing themselves in the same exact way in your life right now.
Mhm.
We keep coming back to that, right? What does that feel like to just like tap into that, like recognizing, gosh, these same cycles played out growing up, and now I'm an independent adult and I'm still tapping into the same energies and programs.
I think it's frustrating because I am aware of them, and it feels like I keep getting stuck back into them, but at the same time, I feel like it's nice knowing what the problem is. I can work through it. I feel like optimistic and hopeful. It's frustrating because it's like, how am I going to get there? And then I hate that feeling. I think it is a guilt feeling where it's like, well, I don't want my parents to feel like mad at me because of the way I'm living. Like I still care so much. I'm still so close with my family. But really it's just I think these things that I've put on myself, this pressure, like I don't know. I'm a perfectionist too, and I'm like, I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want anybody to be mad about the way I'm living, and I don't know. Yeah.
So you even said, oh, I just almost have this guilt of like, well, then what are my parents going to think? You could only imagine maybe what kind of block subconsciously, consciously that even is going to be when you make decisions. Oh, I don't want to make people upset. So you're tapping into, again, logically, you're starting to like process the blocks. But let's kind of go back, and I'm going to try to like at this point just refrain more from talking to not disrupt the process.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to have you go into all the emotions and body sensations that come up. That's going to be more important than any like logical thing you can tell me right now. So
Mhm.
I want you to go back, like you've talked about, feeling the guilt or not upsetting people or feeling frustrated you're watching. Which emotion do you want to go into?
Um, maybe frustration.
Okay,
Yeah.
tap into that energy, like
Mhm.
swim in it, experience it to
Mhm.
its fullest. Where is it in your body? Where is it really stored? Where do you feel it?
feel like I'm like clenching my jaw and like everything's tight. I don't know, like I'm just like, ugh, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Just I don't know. I guess that's it, kind of it. Just clenchy.
Sit with that. So the reason I'm having you notice it is because oftentimes people don't even notice they're experiencing it, and then they don't know how, like, what's bothering them or how to work through it or when it's gone or comes back.
Mhm.
So I want you to really feel that and see where it takes you.
Mhm.
0 to 10, where are you at right now with your activation?
Probably 6. I don't know. Yeah.
In it and just unapologetically let yourself feel it, see it in its rawest and fullness, and see what else happens. And I'll stay quiet until you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Feel like it's definitely, I don't want to be angry, but it is just, it's more the frustration of seeing it happen over and over again. And yeah,
Okay. Okay. 0 to 10, where are you?
like a 7 maybe.
So what I'm gonna have you do, and I don't need you to care about this being recorded or how long. It's all about you.
Mhm.
You get to have this right now. And I want you to just sit with that and continue to sit with it until either your body starts to decrease in those energies, either you are stuck and need help and I'll guide you, or you keep processing memories, flashbacks through your life. That's kind of
Mhm.
helping it. I want you to sit in that.
One thing that I feel like keeps coming up is, well, just about money. Like I feel like I'm at the point where, well, Peyton and I both, where it's like, oh, we're comfortable and we have enough to save for our goals and all these things. And I'm almost, it's always been modeled for me that we never have enough money, even when we did. And so I think even that we do now, it's that same limiting feeling of like, we don't have enough. And it is just like feeling like, I don't know. It's like we do, but we say we don't. And it's this, I don't know. I guess it's always been modeled that way. And maybe that was just a way for my parents to budget, and not spend all their money. So I get that, but I'm like, okay, I don't need that anymore. Like I don't need to think of it in that way.
Okay, so if you're casting out that energy, saying we're not living like that, we're not talking like that, we're not narrating every life like that, how do you want to, like, what do you want to bring in? How do you want to talk about this? What kind of phrases do you want to say?
Hmm. Well, that we have enough, and I feel like really deep down I know we do, and I know I'm like so grateful that we even have a place to live and can eat and all of those basic things, and then we even have more to do fun things and save and I just feel like, when is it gonna be where I'm at the point financially where I feel like it is enough, but be okay with it growing and having more? Because I almost feel like that feeling of it not being enough, that I've always kind of, my parents kind of reflected, I guess, or, oh, we don't have enough, even though they did, I think was helpful for them to, not spend all their money or save their money. But for me, it's like, I'm almost stuck in this cycle where it doesn't feel like enough, but it is enough. I want more, but should I even do more? So I don't know. It's interesting. I guess like for me, it would be knowing what is like my minimum to live at what I need, and then being okay with anything above that and feeling, I guess, the abundance of everything and not feeling that scarcity of it not being enough. you know, even though it is enough.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of reframe this a little bit. So you have this, like you said, for your parents, maybe saying it's not enough, it worked for them, even though they obviously would easily tap out to a certain like level really quickly. And for you, you're like, this isn't helping me. This is actually hindering me, because now you have, especially as an entrepreneur, you have the capacity to grow, like if I could say abundantly and exponentially. And
Mm-hmm.
young in your career, and you got married, and a lot of times even your marriage can kind of multiply that success. So you're like, that thought process and the emotions and energies connected to that is doing me a massive disservice, and it's actually exhausting me.
Mm-hmm.
It's tapping out all my, energies and strength. And so how do you want to then frame it? Like, what do you want to say? Like, it is enough. I have more. Like, remember we've talked about and say like, because like the sometimes words almost already have certain energies to them. So if we say work, we all like,
Mm-hmm.
when we say things like play and explore, it's like, oh, okay, So
Mm-hmm.
again, give me some kind of like sentence or phrase that is going to help you. So instead of you walking through that apartment or whatever, and you being like, it's not enough, it's not for me. What's
Mm-hmm.
more open and hopeful you can say?
I feel like even I think I was listening to a podcast the other day and it said something like start saying things as though you're already like that person, you know? And so I feel like it is just like, oh, I'm enough, or we have enough, or even if we can't afford something right now, we can't afford this yet, or we, you know, like, or we can afford this, we're choosing not to, or we're choosing to budget a different way. I think that's a different way of looking at it that isn't, oh, we don't have enough money, you know, and going down this whole thing. I think that's always been modeled for me, and it worked for them, but for me, it's like a constant. I even just am sitting here thinking, I'm like, all the times that Peyton and I talk about money, and I keep us on a strict budget and all this stuff, and I'll message him, oh, we can't do this, that's too much money, and then I look back, I'm like, oh, we totally could have, but it was just, I'm like so on top of it, and oh, we need to save this and this and that and that, and it's like, oh my gosh, sometimes I just want to live a little, and it is kind of receiving too. I think some of the money that I earn, I'm not even using it. I'm like holding it hostage in this savings account, you know, like for this future goal. But there's things that I want to do, and then I like keep that. And it's not, yeah. I think that's just another way of me. No, sorry, I didn't really I didn't really answer your question completely, but I
No,
guess as far as like what I want to start saying instead is more, we have enough. And if we don't choose to purchase this, it's because we are choosing it's not worth it for us right now, or things like that. I don't know.
okay, so I want you to again close your eyes, and you're not answering any of this for me. You're doing this for you, this inner child, and this inner child that grew up that just kept holding this like anxiety of what, not enough, not. I
Mm-hmm.
watch your body constrict every time you're like, it's not enough, it's not. It's almost like it's almost like when you hear someone shoot and you're like flinching.
Mm-hmm.
Time. Imagine that's been the energy that you've walked through anytime you saw any kind of desire. You've now associated it with this like constriction, flinching, closing, fear, anxiety, panic, terror, whatever. You feel like you know what your body feels. So I want you to like imagine yourself rewalking through yesterday's situation in that apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to just, as you feel this constriction or whatever, I want you to substitute it now with a new message and new feelings that will come with that. And so you said, well, we do have enough. And here's the thing, there's no right or wrong answer, but Camryn, I want you to just kind of like tell yourself, what does that girl need to hear that's actually really encouraging and hope filled? So just
Mm-hmm.
kind of sit with that. And you might even change what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sit with what floats and what really like what feels good.
I think part of it too is like you're in control of the situation, you know, like you can do this, or you can choose to do this, or you can choose not to do this. I think that's a huge part too. And yeah, that you have enough if you choose to do this. I don't know. I think really it is a huge part is the control factor too. I have like we as Peyton and I as a team, like we have this control of the situation. We can live here. We can choose not to live here. We can choose to live somewhere else. We have a say in it. And yeah.
So you guys have the means to
Mm-hmm.
not even maybe even like purchase this, but also you guys have the freedom to make a choice of what is right for you
Mm-hmm.
internally, what you decide, not externally. This is too good. That's it. That made that decision. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, yeah,
Yeah. It almost did feel like when we're walking through and like even just how I was feeling and they're kind of closed off and I'm like, oh, I've already just made this decision that we're not, I'm, this is too good for us, even though the price was great and it was everything I wanted, but it was almost like I already made that decision because of it being too good. But now looking back, I'm like, if I could go back and just tell myself, you can have this and you can choose to have it or not. Like yeah, like you said, the freedom I think is huge. But yeah, it almost feels like this is just coming up, but just like, well, it shouldn't be this easy. It shouldn't be this easy, or it should be harder. Life is supposed to be hard. Why is this perfect apartment like with this great price coming into our lives? There must be something. That's always too. There must be something, or it's just my guards up. Mm.
okay. So that's if I could say it, that's like a cousin energy. I call them
Yeah.
like things that work together.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Let's tap into that. What's up with that? I thought the abundant life was supposed to be easy, and even for
Mm-hmm.
who believe my burden is easy or light,
Mm-hmm.
yoke is light or whatever. Right? The concept of like when you're connected with the like, divine source, and it's like this is how it's supposed to be. It should be easier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what's going on with this unnecessary suffering and hardship? Now, don't answer intellectually. Let's
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start to like streamline you.
Mm-hmm.
Go into your body, your emotions. It's too easy.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. What does that feel like with your body, and where does that take you in your life?
I still feel like there's some like tightness and just almost it feels like a physical barrier of just I don't know, like the receiving part where I can't receive it.
Sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Stare at it. Feel it. See what like where does that come from? Is it a defense protector? Like what's going on? Because it's very expired in your life. It needs to go because now it's physically blocking you from receiving. And you've told me from the beginning you're trying to receive more. So sit with it. Awesome. You have now like tangibly encountered what you're facing. And continue to breathe through it because our body needs to start to like physically release those energies.
I feel like some of it is even just it being modeled as an entrepreneur. It has to be hard. And for me, I'm like, it's already been hard for so long. How much longer is it supposed to be hard, until you can start experiencing what you're working so hard for? And even just like, I don't know, just that mindset. I feel like just growing up with people or adults, even when I was a kid, I feel like adults are always like, well, life is so hard. It's so hard. It's supposed to be hard. These things happen. And not to say that bad things don't happen, but it's like every day, it's just sometimes it feels like it's just not supposed to be this hard. So
And that's the crazy part, Cameron, because what's hard? The outside stuff, or is it like what we're experiencing in our worlds that's hard? And it's you're accessing those energies. Life is not easy. no, we can't do this. That's
Mhm.
hard. That's hard
Mhm.
experiencing those energies, body sensations, emotions, etc. So
Mhm.
continue to sit with that. Continue to almost like reprocess how you look at this until you start to notice that this wall starts to crumble. And that what here's the thing. Some of the things that we process, Camryn, will be quick. And some of them, like these, if I can call them strongholds that they've been
Mhm.
like ingrained, even sometimes generationally within us, that's going to take a little bit more time to clear that stuff out
Mhm.
in my experience, right? So I
Yeah.
want you to kind of just like sit with that for a bit and start to just again break that down, let it flow, see what else is coming up, and also process within yourself. It doesn't actually have to be this hard all the time.
Mhm.
Just kind of sit with that a little bit. And sometimes people need help, like you might even like give yourself convincing data of, well, it doesn't have to be this hard. An
Mhm.
example, simple but still powerful. Well, you exploded with your followers. Was that hard? I mean,
Mhm.
yes, you put in a
Yeah.
lot, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
like that's every time I tell anyone that story, they're like, that's amazing. That's so
Mhm.
smart. So you have like that's the thing, like you collect little things from your life to like remind yourself or that part of you, actually, no, we're gonna dispute this data. So kind of sit with that and be creative. Like I'm giving you guys ideas of how to do this. I've done it with people, but it's always going to come down to tune it in with to your heart, Camryn, and your spirit, and see what is it that this inner being needs right now in this healing moment. So kind of sit with that a little bit.
I think I like what comes up is people who I know, that it's very few people that I feel like are so confidently, unapologetically themselves, like you're one of them, that like show up that you just are, you're like, how are you like that? Like how can you not, I don't know, like I feel like in society we're so, you must work, and even America, like work super hard, and it's very like work 9 to 5. And I think just as an entrepreneur, I'm trying to break out of that. I'm like, I think differently. I want to live my life differently. I want that freedom. And then it's feeling so silly thinking of how that was one of the bigger reasons why I wanted to do this. And I'm like putting myself in this 9 to 5, like you must work from here to here and you must work so hard. And I look at when I do that and I'm like, oh, I'll be productive, but it's not fulfilling, And so I think I'm looking at what works for me and trying to break out of the societal norm, and also again, love my family, but they all work 9 to 5 jobs. My brother, my parents, they work from this time to this time. They leave work at home, and then they or not at home. They leave work at work and they come home, and it's just a different. I feel like I'm doing something different than a lot of the people in my life, and it's like I keep feeling, and again, it's going back to like, I feel like I'm not doing enough, where I had to like prove myself, like this business that I'm doing, it's successful. And I think I go and I work really hard all the time to try to prove that to other people, when really like I am really fulfilled from it. If I look at what it is I do, and I love that I have my weekends off recently. I've been loving spending time with Peyton and Alice, and I actually feel like I show up better in my business, but I think it's when I'm like, oh, but they probably think I'm not working, or they probably don't think I'm making enough money. I think of all these other people and their views on what it is I'm doing, which I'm working on, of just trying to get out of it. Again, it's just like that societal norm.
Good. So I just take a deep breath. I don't think we're like done with this necessarily,
Yeah.
but I think we've cleared out some stuff.
Oh, good.
Well,
Yeah.
let's kind of do this. I'm gonna start to wrap up a little bit, but I want us to like weave in everything we've done. So as you probably have seen in our viewers, it's like we bounce around, but they're all really connected. That's that
Yeah.
like it's not a cobweb. I mean, you could even a cobweb, you could be like, oh, this connects to the, if you really look at it, right? So here's the thing. you continue to go back to the struggle, the grind. It has to be hard and it's not enough. And if you're living out of that energy because you've been programmed like that, no fault of yours, you will continue to live out of that. And we know this, right? You get these opportunities that are too good to be true, an apartment that actually fulfills your desires. Nope. Our old program was like, that's way too good to be true. No. And the new program you're swapping to, and like we've talked in our last live, this is where you're now readjusting and building those new confidence skills or just skills, is changing how you speak. So like, for instance, like next time you're walking through an apartment or you do the processing, you do take that apartment. I don't know. As you're walking, let's say through that apartment or any other similar situation that we've talked about where these feelings come up, I want you to mindfully breathe through them. And instead of being like, it's too good to be, no, wow, I can have this. It's possible. Like, what are the things that you said? And maybe you'll find a better phrase, we actually do have enough. I get to choose. And out of within me, I have the freedom to then say, if that's for me, not the goodness of that telling me it's not for me. And that might feel almost kind of weird, like alert, it's too easy, it's too good. No, it gets to be good. It gets to be easy. It is easy. And the more you talk like that to yourself, yeah, but what if, no, some things you might have to, like in the evening, process that and sit with that. But you're now embodying this new code and letting literally your body start to feel like, because oftentimes when we're in that masculine mode or works mode or a lot of this scrunched up, it's in here a lot of times with clients, anxiety here, right? Dropping in your body, it gets to be easy. How does literally your pelvis feel? Can you now feel your feet? Are your hips starting to get loosened up? Are you starting to walk more straight, shoulders back? That's that embodying that we're doing. New energy taking territory, literally our heart, mind, spirit, body. And so, like you even talked about, like, I'm trying to break out of this paradigm, this matrix, and like I feel like I'm designed not to be in it. The word that I hear, and I've been wanting to make like a post about it, is courage. Like, it literally takes courage for you to so believe that the way you're programmed is the way you're meant to live. Someone else, that structure works. For someone like you, it probably doesn't. And just, again, continuing how to have the courage to breathe through, I get to have this weekend off. That's why I love what I do. That's why this is designed like this. Guilt comes up. No. If you want to continue to do, that like previous program, go ahead. But I don't want to do that. So continue to choose into, it gets to be easy. I get to have fun, especially as, being in my feminine, I get to play. Yes, life has its challenges and try, and just like, there's plenty of things that are not the fun side of business. But the reason I'm doing it is because I get to have such an awesome time and space to explore. And then the more you conscientiously then tap into that energy, then continue to operate out of that energy. And then you get to decide what apartment is yours because you chose. It came from within, the desire. Take a deep breath. And I'm gonna take you back a little bit. Imagine yourself now with this apartment situation. What does it feel like now, 0 to 10? Because before you were like 6, almost 7, all these things coming up.
I mean, I feel like there's still a little bit something there, but I feel like I can definitely even just work on it, journal and process some of the stuff coming up. I feel like I'm probably a 1 or 2.
Yeah, so you're gonna sit down, and anytime I'll have like a client who's like still has that, is like I said, it's either something else we got to kind of process out, but it's also continuing now to put in the new data, the new energy, the new program, and living out of that. What do you feel like your maybe takeaway or something that you can even feel it feels different? Because sometimes our viewers are like, well, what's different? What do you feel?
I feel like I don't know. I feel good. Like my body feels better. Like you said, I just even feel a little more loose. So I'm just like, oh, I got like some tension, like literally off my shoulders. And I feel really, I don't know, a lot more optimistic and open-minded about even just this apartment, but also in my business. Cause like they are tied together where I feel like, I don't know, I'm feeling good. The whole thing is a huge takeaway, honestly. I feel like it's really nice also to know that I'm not alone in the feelings and thoughts that I'm having, and how you're explaining it like a web of these things. Cause to me, I'm like, it just feels like I'm this all the time, but you're explaining, oh, okay, this is how it's done. And like other people go through it. Of course, it's gonna be on an individual basis, but like a similar thing. I think it's really comforting to know I'm not alone, and also that we're doing it together. So yeah.
Awesome. Camryn, thank you for your time. I'm going to see you later individually, but I'm almost wondering, because you are a member of this community,
Yeah.
if you are ready and you would want to do like in a couple weeks, let's come back and do a part 2. I still have something else coming up. Cool, let's do it. Or if you have like a little success story, like let's say you have an apartment that you get to score, or something that you really
Yeah.
desire, that's a breakthrough.
Uh,
You do like a little video or a little post in my testimonials and success page tab on the side.
yeah.
But yeah, so feel free to continue to just stay in contact. I mean, you are in the community. Tell us stuff that
Yeah,
comes.
definitely. I feel like it's awesome to be part of the community too, because I have accountability buddies almost. Like I'm not gonna just go fall back into I'm like, people know what I'm working on and I can share that. I appreciate it. So thank you.
Cool. Well, again, the journey doesn't just like end. You're
Yeah.
like how to utilize these skills, and I'm excited to see, your progress across all boards. But thank you for your vulnerability and courage, and continue to reach out if you need help. But everyone who's watching this, click your little likes on this video, write little comments. That's what I intend to have with this like group of people. And if you are interested in volunteering to do the healing workshop here, let me know. So Camryn, I'm going to stop recording right now.
Okay.
Let's see.